this was actually, so I have a video off screen. I'll let you see it. I remember my friend recorded it back in 2019 or 2020 or whatever, where I was arguing anyway with an officer, and he said, as pertaining to our law here, you're allowed 90 days. When did you get in the country? I'm like, here's my passport, bro. I just landed yesterday. Anyway, but there was an accident about a year and a half ago in Santo Domingo where a Venezuelan girl crashed, lost control of her Mercedes, and killed somebody, right? And it came out in Diario Libre. It's in the archives, and I posted in the Expat groups when it came out. I said, look, this is it. You're allowed 90 days as per Intrant. Intrant is like the motor vehicle department here, right? But not only my partner, who's an attorney in my law firm, but I've spoken to top attorneys where they send me audio of their friends in the bank saying it's 90 days, and there is nowhere on paper where it says 90 days. It only says 30 on paper.
So where's the 90 come from?
They changed the law.
Right.
Intrant publicized it. You can ask any unmet officer. Whenever you see any of these, he said, how long am I allowed to drive here? And they'll tell you 90 days. But they've just, in true fashion here, they have never updated it on paper, which goes back to immigration. They change requirements. They change. It's the same thing. Like, okay, we're gonna do A today because we did B yesterday. Okay, but do you have any? No. It just is what it is. So they've never done it. So it is 90 days. Now I've never stayed over 90 days because of that. Because I own a business, I don't want to get sued, right? So at the end of the day, I recommend to any person here that if you're looking to stay here and you can't get your residency with your cellular or your driver's license, every 90 days if you're going to drive. I also know someone who, like people that had accidents after 90 days. But that person was a very good-looking person, and nobody really kind of, whatever, right? Now, you can't guarantee that that's going to happen. It's a Russian roulette.
There's a lot of places to rent in Sosua. If you're looking for peaceful, affordable, and tranquil, look at Casa de Compai, Sosua's hidden gem. When you're ready to reserve at Casa de Compai, my contact information is in the description down below.
I've had major accidents where $18,000, $19,000 to fix my Volvo when somebody ran through the red light and I hit them. I've had accidents where they're like, let me see your passport, and they're looking for the entry stamp, right, at Montezervas, because that's the insurance I had. And I've had times where it was like $4,000 or $5,000 and they didn't ask me for anything. So it all
depends on who you get. I made sure as soon as I got my residency, boom, got my driver's license.
And one important thing that people talk about, and I've seen this come up, and they mentioned it, but in true fashion here, in the Diario Libre article, they mention it, but they don't mention it. Meaning, oh yeah, something about an international license. People have come up with the international license.
Have you seen one? I've never seen one.
I've never seen one, but I know they exist. And in 1949 or whatever, Dominican Republic signed, again, true fashion, that they accepted. No. And I even had my partner speak to like people that he said that I met, right? And they were like, look, man, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, but if they don't have a driver's license here, they're good for 90 days, right? So don't risk that. Don't come over here and say, I got an international, I'm staying for 4, 5, 6 months. Because the way they look at it, if it's not Dominican, it doesn't matter if it's international, from China, from Russia, they're going to be like 90 days, yeah. After 90 days, you're illegal. So driving illegally.
And given the driver's license it was a process.
But you need a cedula. So nobody that doesn't have if you don't have a cedula,
you can't.
You can actually. And now I know NM1 qualifies, but if you have other types of visas like student visas or work visas, you can't get a driver's license. So it's a barrier to staying here over 90 days if you plan on driving any kind of vehicle, whether it's a motorcycle, a car, or anything. As an expat, again, as a foreigner, I don't recommend it because the last thing you want to do is get into something with them here.
I don't like saying this, but I have friends who got into a car accident. They live here, no cedula, been here for years, haven't been off the island. And I pay my insurance. There's dates I'm always pay my insurance. Get into an accident, we're not paying. He's like, yeah, but I paid my premium. It doesn't matter. You're illegal. You don't have a driver's license. You're over the 90 days. We're not paying this accident.
Yeah, they're not legally bound to pay.
So then it was a fight.
Yeah, they're not legally bound to pay technically, right? Because I don't know if people understand how it works, and I'll tell you something else.
But this is one of the things that most people just gloss over. They don't take it as serious as it is. This is one of the things that gets you jacked up down here real quick. And if you have property, they will go for that property.
And that's another thing when it comes to insurance, right? I tell people, number one, get full coverage, because I'll explain to you how car insurance works. I'm sure you've heard, and people have heard, oh, you get an accident in the Dominican Republic, and nobody wants to pay for your car to get fixed. Insurance doesn't work. Yes and no, and I'll explain to you how it works. Number one, you have to make sure you have full coverage, right? Because the way it works here is like we crash, right? My insurance pays my car, your insurance pays your car, and if they figure out who's at fault later on, that's behind the scenes. They deal with it themselves, kind of like in New York, right? They don't. What happens is people have low insurance, they have an accident, and now they're waiting for your insurance to pay for my car. That's it. And people don't know, and I learned this: if there was no injured parties, if it's just an accident, a vehicle accident, but there's no injured parties, if your insurance company strings me along for 6 months. After 6 months, they don't have to pay. And that's how you see people get stuck with their car and they never get fixed.
No kidding.
They tried pulling that on me when somebody hit my Volvo, when I used to have a Volvo. And I went and I went to their office in El Millón in Santo Domingo, because I was living in Santo Domingo. That's what happened. And I went into them and I said, if I have it in writing here that you agreed to give me 10 out of 12,000 pesos, because I'm petty sometimes, for 10,000 pesos, I don't care. Because the whole point is the person hit me while I was parked. And I had just gotten it out of the body shop. And I said, because
Of course,
so,
naturally.
It was like just the same day. So I said, you guys agreed to 10. If you don't give me this 10,000, my partner's an attorney, and I'm going to sue you. And there's going to be damages to this. Oh, okay. I said, I know you guys are trying to wait past the 6 months to get me, but I have it in writing. So even after 6 months, you agreed on an amount. But that's a way that's why you hear people saying that they don't. The other thing is, if you're going to get a full coverage, there's full coverage, and there's another insurance on top of that.
All right, I'm going there. Go ahead. Bring it up.
Civil responsibility. What's becoming very common in the Dominican Republic is the money in an accident is not enough to cover if there's a lot of damage, especially if a person's hurt or dead or whatever. So they go after you. And if you have assets, they will go after your assets if they're in your name and the car was under your name or whatever. So what's recommended, and it's like 1,800 pesos extra on your policy for like a 3 million peso additional coverage on that. So I recommend anyone that has a car get full coverage, number one. Don't mess around, because you need your full coverage to fix your car. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting forever for their insurance to do it. And if you pass the 6 months, like I said, if nobody's hurt or whatever, they're not going to pay you, right? And get that responsabilidad civil.
Even health insurance, get the best health insurance.
I have the top of the line here.
There's no reason not to. It's super cheap. But when it comes to the car insurance, let's say, God forbid, let's hope it never happens. I get into a serious car accident. Somebody gets seriously hurt where they want to detain me. I don't go to jail.
Casa de Conductor or Casa de Automovilista, they have...
guys, listen. If you're going to take anything away from this video, this right here is what you want to know.
And most mid and upper insurances have it already included, because it's so, and even if your insurance, you shouldn't have an insurance that doesn't have it included. That's something you want to look at, but it's so cheap, it's so affordable. If somebody gets hurt or whatever, they do an investigation here. So Casa de Conductor or Casa de Automovilista, they have sucursales, like locations in Santo Domingo and in Santiago. Unfortunately, they're not anywhere else, right? But in the case that they have to put you for the 3 days of an investigation, instead of putting you in jail, they put you into a hotel, like Casa de Automovilista, in Santiago. They have the rooms upstairs. It's like an old house. So they actually have the rooms upstairs. And I asked them, they don't do it as much as they used to do it back in the days, but when you're a foreigner, obviously things are different. And you want to have that insurance, because if somebody gets hurt or gets killed in an accident here, they're going to be looking at you for money. You better make sure you have all that insurance, extra insurance, so they can get the maximum payout. That's super important. And another thing is, I want to explain it. If there's an accident, if someone's hurt, I'm pretty sure you're hurt as well. I'm pretty sure you need to go to the hospital.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you need to get yourself checked out with everything that's hurting you, if that makes sense, right?
Yes, it does. Yes. One of the best things to do here is make things as equal as you can. So if it's a win-win or a loss-loss, that's the best way to do it here. It's all about leverage.
Because if you are, I'm good, and the other person is not very good, you're not going to be very good.
Right. So, and that's everything. One of the things I say all the time is, I have more problems than an expat who's living off of Social Security, because I have more to take.
Correct.
So that's why I'm careful what I do, who I hang out with, where I go. It's a different rules to the game for me than somebody that just is living off of $2,500 a month.
Well, my advice is if you're here, if you own multiple properties, if you have a business and or own multiple properties, your car, I don't, like my car's under my company name, but I don't put properties under that company name. So if they sue the company. They're not actually suing me physically. So if you own property here, your property should be under an SRL there, then have a different one maybe for your car, or your car's under your personal name, but the properties are under different, because if they're tied in at if all your stuff is under your personal name or all your stuff is under one SRL, whatever happens on one thing affects the assets of the other.
It's a channel. It's a street. It's a direct line. You don't want those direct lines. Same thing in the States, you know.
And then normally, like if it's a person like you're retired, you got one house, all right, lawyers are not going to recommend that you put them under an SRL for many different reasons that, anyway. But with that being said, if you have multiple properties, if you do that, you've got to be you should speak to an attorney and definitely protect your assets, because again, it's from accidents, whether you're driving or not, or it could be somebody being hurt or something happening, and then they realize that you have assets. And that's not just here. That's in the U.S. I mean, ambulance chasing lawyers and all that kind of stuff, right? They do that. And I'll tell you, getting back to the lawyer thing, I forgot to mention it, the lawsuits that are coming for the real estate here, right, for the incumplimiento and all of that, it is so massive that my partner has a program now where, depending on what split you want, like you're willing to do, like the United States, we can take on a case against a developer and you pay no money out of the pocket to the lawyer.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's different splits. It's like,
that's
right, because that's how they do it in the States.
Sure.
We have a lawsuit, they say, which plan do you want? Up 33% if you put nothing out of pocket, whatever, they do it there. So we actually created plans because it is true what people say. Every attorney here, if you go to sue, they're going to go, oh, sure, no problem, because you're paying the money, right?
Yep.
And again, if you win against the developer or not, we look at your case, and if your case qualifies, then you can pick a plan whereas you up to putting zero money lawyer fees out of your pocket, right? Zero lawyer fees, and you can start the process to get your money back or to see how you can resolve it. Because without an attorney here, when you're a buyer, and if things are not going well on you, without an attorney doing the work for you, they're gonna put you on the pay me no mind list. You're on the pay me no mind. You can write 100 emails. You can go to their office. No, lo siento, señor. Te llamamos mañana. No, the guy's not here. The boss is away. He's in the other office in the other city. You're going to get the runaround.
And then keep doing it.
Yeah.
And then the police are going to come after you for disrupting their business.
Correct. There's no, if you're not, everything has to be documented. You have to serve people. You have to send an intent to sue, that they see that you're serious. Then you have to sue. And when you do win here, you also, unless you negotiated in the settlement, you can actually sue. Like if somebody sues you and you win, you can go after damages, legal damages. That's a secondary thing. Unless it's in the original settlement, oh, you sued me, but I won. Okay, now I'm going to sue you for your legal damages. I had to incur legal costs for that.
Right, sure.
Right. So again, you do. The thing here is that it takes a long time. Any legal issues, the number one thing my partner always recommends to people is try to settle out of court, man. Just try to get to a settlement that's beneficial for everybody and just let it go, because it takes years.
Great point. And it's the American mentality. I want justice. I want justice. No, you want to get rid of that problem as fast as you can. Whether it's from a moto taxi that's trying to charge you double, the chica, car accident, anything. Settle it at the lowest level possible as quickly as you can.
Now, with that being said, if you were taken advantage of for large amounts of money,
Yep.
then I recommend go hard, no holds barred, stick them to the wall, right? Because one of the things I've noticed here, and as an expat, it bothers me seeing other expats being too timid to fight for their rights.
Yep.
Because again, if it's something small, a little thing that, like one time I got into a car accident, the guy hit me in the back of the car, right? I was stopped, right? And because I'm just like that sometimes, and I had to learn. So I do things here sometimes people don't know. I do petty things to learn, right? Because it's the only way you're going to learn. So the guy hit me. I found out he had no license, nothing like that, and it was my old car, right? And he didn't want to pay the deductible, which was like 5,000 pesos. I'm going back to 2019, the pre-pandemic, right? And he didn't want to pay me. And I told him, I said, if you don't give me the 5,000 pesos, I said, I'm going to sue you for the 5,000, right? He just like, I'm not paying your deductible. I'm like, dude, you hit me in the back. I was stopped. I went all the way. I filed a report. I edited it. I said my neck hurts or whatever. I go back to the hospital. I do the whole thing, right? Because another thing, just going back, there's a lot of information here. But so if two people are not hurt, if nobody's hurt in an accident, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to sue you for the damages, right? The guy doesn't have to show up to court. It's civil. It's not criminal. Mm-hmm. So they don't give a shit. The guy never showed up. So I had to go oh, my neck. The other person I was with, 2-3 days later, our stuff hurts or whatever. We edit the report. Then I go back to the police station and the guy loses his shit on me. The head of the Ahmed loses it. I thought I was getting thrown in jail because the guy, since he had no insurance, he had nothing, he had resolved it, and now I'm stirring shit up. And he goes bat shit on me, and my friend that was there with me was like, Mario, calm down, because now I'm getting, like, who the hell is he talking to like this? But I'm like, I'm going to go to jail right now. All over 5,000 pesos. But what I did learn out of that, right, was that if nobody's hurt, and you're trying to sue some Dominican from somewhere for, like, the money in an accident, 10, 15, 20,000 pesos, he doesn't have to show up to court, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it's a civil case. It's not the only thing here that people worry about is criminal cases, penal. If not,
Okay. Well, that brings us into the Fiscalia. What they love to do here, the Dominican, I'll take you to the Fiscalia. I'll take you to Fiscalia. That's fine. Let's go to the Fiscalia in Sicily. It's civil. All they're probably going to say is, you stay over there, you stay over here. It's like going to the principal's office. That's what I call it. You know, when you go to Puerto Plata, it's a different thing. I've been yanked down to Puerto Plata more than once, and you don't want to do it. The other point I want to make is when it comes to dealing in situations where you're dealing with the locals, they respect the stronger hand. So if you're going to be that timid foreigner, they're going to mistake kindness for weakness. They're going to walk all over you. Sometimes, I don't suggest this, but sometimes if you accidentally lose your shit without touching somebody, it might work a little better, providing you know who you're talking to.
the accordion.
Yep.
Tell you about the accordion. I made this up. Whenever I have a problem, what I first do, and even like when I've had issues with like cops trying to pull me over and being jerks or whatever, the first thing I do sometimes is like, dímelo, ¿qué es lo que tenemos? Estoy aquí trabajando, blah, blah, blah. I do the accordion, right? But then I'm like, look. It's not your fault. I totally understand. I'm trying to resolve it. You're trying to resolve it. You're a reasonable person. I know that. This has nothing to do between you and I. Well, and I bring it back down a level, and I do that. But you have to be strong. I went through a situation where somebody tried to extort me for $700,000. They sued me for defamation. $700,000. I was like, what am I, the president of the country, right? Then, towards the end of the case, they wanted to settle for $28,000, right?
No.
I laughed. But going back to what you were saying about the Fiscalia, it's like the principal's office, even because it was a person that had worked with me, that was a friend and whatever, I considered a type person, and whatever, money changes people. So what they try to do is they're like, well, could you guys resolve it? A lot of times, unless there's very like violence and things like that, when it's like, they want you to just kind of resolve it because they don't want to deal with the shit.
No, they don't.
They don't want to deal with it.
It's basically get out of my office.
Exactly.
Find a happy medium and go.
If this is not serious, get out of here, right? So they all want to do that. The only time you go to and I went to trial, and you know what? I went to trial and I had no idea because again, I love everybody, but communication is not a strong point in Latin America in general, I've learned, right? So I'm on my last day because I had my lawyer going to all the stuff, right? So I show up. He's like, no, this day you have to show up. I showed up like twice. We tried to settle it. And I told the person, I said, listen, I'll, out of good faith, I was like, I'll give you half your lawyer fee, like $1,000, whatever it is, like that, and get out of my face. No, I want $28,000. All right, cool. Boom, let's do it, right? So I show up on the last day, and I got to tell you guys, going to a Dominican court, some of the higher end ones in Santo Domingo are more like what we're used to in the first world. But I was in the East. It is intimidating if you are not strong. I remember the first time I went there during my divorce. It is a madhouse. Everybody talking, screaming,
and yelling,
everything.
and
It looks,
fingers.
and it's just like it's dilapidated. Number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't want to go into Santo Domingo Este or whatever. It's very overwhelming, and I speak fluent Spanish, so I can handle my own. But if somebody doesn't, and I can understand 100%, it's super intimidating. So I go, and I didn't know what I was like. Okay, it's the last one they're gonna decide based on the evidence. And now this is a criminal case I have.
Oh, you mean justice? No.
No, but I have a criminal case against me because defamation is a criminal case, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm there, and I'm like, all right, what's this, right? And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, the person takes, they call it a stand. It's kind of like a stand. And I swear to tell the truth. Person tells their story. I get up. I have to talk. I don't know if I said something. I don't know what it was. But I basically got my hand up, and I was like, no, this is what happened. I'm in trial. I'm like, holy crap. I ended up in trial on my last day. No clue. Thank God I speak enough Spanish that I knew how to, I was communicating with them and everything, with the judge and everything like that. And I won the case. Obviously, it was dismissed. They apologized for what I went through. They actually apologized. They said, we're sorry that you had to go through 2 years of hell through this. That's
something I never heard of. Them actually saying, sorry, you had to do this.
Yeah, the
wow,
judge.
That's incredible.
And it was really weird because there was one guy judge that was doing the proceedings the whole entire time. And on that final day, they swapped it out for a female judge. And she was no nonsense. Like the regular judges, oh my God, they're in the courtroom talking like they're in a colmado. I'm like, it's like, it's nerve wracking, you know what I mean? And then she came in and she was like, shut it out, shut it out, shut it. She shut that courtroom down, and we go to trial. And I'm like, holy crap, this is actually trial. I'm like, what's happening? And she apologized. She said, I'm sorry that you have to go through this or whatever, case dismissed or whatever. And I remember just walking out. I was like, not today, demons. I actually shouted that out. I was like, woo. You know what I mean? It was hilarious. But they try. But just zero tolerance.
And it goes back to what I said earlier. The more you have, the more you have to lose, right? And you use the accordion. My phrase is, you got to know when to push, you got to know when to pull, and you got to know when to stop.
Like that time when the guy was screaming at me, the head of the Ahmed, because I uncovered what happened, right? And I was just like, and I'm looking, and I'm getting upset, and my friend's like, not this one. Not right now. Not right now. You know, I walked out, I'm going to the car later, and he's outside, and he's just looking at me like this. I was like, oh, geez, Louise, I don't need this shit. You know what I mean? So you got to know also who, when, and where. And a very important, for me, what I found is important is you've got to speak the language, but not just speaking Spanish. I use terminology. I use the I, like the way people talk. Estoy aquí trabajando, buscando mi cuarto. Like, I don't say cuarto, I say cuarto. And that's a very distinct dialect. So when I do that, they'll see me a little different. But if you try to get live with them and you're not really, you're just using, they'll be like, oh, who the hell do you think that you're dealing with? It's got to, and it's also what works, what's cultural here, and it doesn't work in other Latin American countries, I found out, is that you've got to be charismatic. Oh, no, you got to be, it's almost got to be like, you're not aggressive, but you're like a rooster, right? Like, oh, ¿qué tú estás haciendo? Trabajando como tú sabes. You don't have money in the street right now, so I'm here working also. I'm going to my office, and you're working, and I'm working. You've got to be very much like that. Now, that's unique to the Dominican Republic, because I tried that shit in Panama, right? I'm in Panama. So just a couple years ago, my business partner's driving, because I'm hammered, so he wasn't drinking, I'm drinking, so whatever. And they have like all these other things, like, at night, checking for drunk drivers and stuff, right? So they roll down the window, and I'm like, hey, comando, ¿qué tenemos? Which I hear it's a normal, right? What's up? The guy was like, papeles. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm not in Kansas anymore. So don't try that in Colombia. Don't try that in Panama. No, over there's like, sí, señor, ¿cómo te puedo ayudar? Okay, papeles, sí. Yeah. Yeah, but here they live off of that.
But it's the whole chismoso attitude they have here. So they respect a strong hand.
You have to, yeah.
That's, you got to know. You just and coming especially from the States. We're taught to respect authority. We're taught to handle yourselves in a certain way. Here, that doesn't always work in your best interest.
You have to understand also, because of what people get paid, right? The less authority gets paid, the more corruption you're going to have. So the more you're going to have people going out, buscando su cuarto, right? Looking for their money in the streets. So when you're dealing with, everybody knows here how it is. Sometimes you got to give money or whatever the case is. And I've had friends of mine, and, I know a lot of top of people and whatever. And I have friends of mine, they're like, dude, my whole family's cops, whatever, right? He says, listen, if they pull you over sometimes, and I won't do it in an area where I'm working. So, like, if I'm working here or whatever, no, because then you're going to see me like food every 5 minutes, right? But if I'm traveling through Santo Domingo, if I'm traveling somewhere on a highway or whatever, right? 200 pesos to get a person who doesn't have the need, the authority and the need, but doesn't have the education part. You're dealing with someone who is on a different level, right? And they need, right? And they're making these stops because they need. That 200 pesos is better be like, vaya con Dios, gracias, Papa Comando, cuídate tu familia, tu todo, blah, 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 and give them the little 200-300 and get out of it, right?
My analogy is, you're back in New Jersey, you can get out of something for $6. Would you do it?
Correct.
No, everybody's like, well, it's part of the corruption. You want to stop that. Now it's about making my life easy. It's about my day getting from point A to point B the easiest way possible and the quickest way possible.
The only time I don't recommend it personally, and I've gone through this, is if it's in your town. Like if they're doing events here, because then they're going to just see you. Every time they see you, they're going to be hitting you up. You know how it is. Like if somebody asks you for money and you give them money once, they're going to keep asking you for money. If I'm not in my comfort area, I remember that happening to me one time in Bávaro, and they were like they stopped me for like the second time in the day, and I said, listen, man, it's really easy to tell. I'm a bald guy, lots of tattoos. I'm here working. I own a real estate company. I'm in the street making money here, going to appointments, going to properties. I'm doing the same thing as you. I can't have you guys doing this to me every day. Please Remember me. I'm going to pass 5 more times through here today. I'm going back and forth to different properties. We're not going to play this game. I'm making my money in the street the same way you're making your money in the street. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not all like that or whatever.
And then when you do that, you'll make a friend.
Yeah.
They'll know you. They'll respect you. And then they'll just wave you through. And then you'll meet other cops the same way. You know, it's not that you want to respect the police. You absolutely want to. But in the Latin culture, it's all about personal relationship. You know, you show them the respect. I did a video where a taxi driver smacked in the back of my car because I didn't do what he wanted to do. And all the motorists came around, the two sisters came around and made a phone call, and I talked to him, and all of a sudden the taxi drivers are way over there. You know, there's a time and place to have relationships. You got to have them. But if anything can be solved at the lowest level possible, you want to do that. And that all starts with, hey, man, listen, I live here. You're going to see me a bunch of times. Just give me my space. I respect what you're doing. Or if it's super hot and you're coming out of a Kamado, you're coming out of a store, and you know the police are on the road, grab some cold water. Hey, guys, here you go. I know you're hot out, man. Hey, be safe. You know, that goes a long way. Not that you want to butter them up or kiss their ass, but just show them a little bit of human decency. And that goes so far here.
It's like you have to be nice, but you have to be stern because they are very stern here. They're very like, what? So you've got to have that immediate where you're being nice, but you're not a cabrón, you're not a pendejo. They're not taking advantage of you, you know? And that's really important. But that comes with time. That comes with time, confidence, and experience. Because I understand for a lot of foreigners when they first come here, it can be very overwhelming. You know, and I understand it more now. Like, okay, you go to places like Medellin, or you go to places like Panama City, it feels very first world. So you don't have that clash that you would have coming to the Dominican Republic. You're in Santo Domingo here. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, Santiago, it looks like something out of the movies. So it's very overwhelming for people. It's easier for people to get assimilated in other parts of Latin America, I found. When you come here, this is very, very particular, very Caribbean. It's like being in Jamaica, like being in Haiti, like being in one of these like Grenadines or whatever. It has its thing about it.
It's unique.
And it's very overwhelming for people. I definitely think a lot of people are overwhelmed, and I see this. I see a lot of people get wronged, and they're scared to fight for their rights over that because it is overwhelming, and I understand it. My first time from New York, the first place I went to in Latin America was Puerto Rico. And I remember going to Puerto Rico with my first wife, and I'm there, and I'm just looking at them. It looked like this, you know, the casas and everything. It looks very like some kind of movie that you see, like the favela movies or whatever, like a City of God type of thing in Brazil. And I'm just looking, and I'm like, oh my God, are they gonna kill us here? Like, you know, are we in danger? You know what I mean? I didn't know because I didn't know how to even like process all of it. But then as you get comfortable with it, then you're like, and if you can make it here, I'll tell you, everywhere else is easier.
See, now that's funny you should bring that up because I just did a video where I was looking at doing another condo complex, not as big, either in Medellin or Cúcuta.
Cúcuta's
it's on the Venezuelan border.
Okay.
It's Colombia, on the Venezuelan border. Cool little town. Love Colombia, but we'll have a talk about that off camera.
Yeah.
Because basically it was me and my buddies were sitting in the bar. One who's Colombian Americans, right? It was a table full of guys in cowboy hats, belt buckles, cowboy boots, and it was a normal disco, and over here was guys in suits, and they were eyeballing us. And I said to my buddy, "I'll go talk to the cowboy hats. Being South Jersey, not a problem. You talk to them." And it turned out it was basically, we don't want you here. You're not going to turn Cúcuta and Parque Gieres. Go away. And I was talking to the landowners, and he was talking to the cartels. And we were like, see ya, thank you, bye-bye.
And another thing, because my best friend lives in Medellin, and he's retiring there. He's a Marine, a cop, and all that. And he's like, you're going to be my neighbor. And I was like, bro, I am your neighbor. I'm in Panama also. Outside of here, I'm in Panama. I'm like, I'm your neighbor, but like the country next door. He thinks I'm going to get a place next to him in Medellin because we're going to hang out forever when he retires. And for business purposes, and I thought about opening real estate in Medellin also because I have somebody that could help me with that there. Colombia itself, besides all that other stuff, their tax system, there's certain things that people don't know. And when you look into moving to a country, do business, and pay taxes and not, the taxation system in Colombia. They voted like 2 years ago the worst place in Latin America to do business because of their red tape. I mean, to change dollars, you got to put a finger. It's not conducive to being successful. They have a lot of problems. The instability there, right? And like if you open up your business and they say you got to give us money and you don't give them money, there's a grenade going through your door. They did that in La Setenta in Medellin in a casino like about a month ago. I don't recommend that. That doesn't happen here. Here you have your business. The only businesses here that I've seen people have issues with when you're dealing with bars that have to do with nightlife. Yes. That's a separate thing. If you're trying to do a club or something like that, you're gonna get called by. You're gonna get all these guys on top of you. You're dealing with a different element. It's just like in New York. I used to be a club promoter in New York City, and like if you're doing X amount of nightlife, you're gonna be around people, mobsters, and all kinds of stuff. It's gonna be a different element. But a general regular business in Dominican Republic, you're fine as long as you don't get into it with the tax system here and they don't come shut you down. You're fine. You go under the, you're okay. Colombia, I would not, and even Mexico, I wouldn't even think. Mexico, I wouldn't. You guys can do whatever there.
The way in the video, I didn't go into it real deep, but first thing I talked to was a lawyer and an accountant. I felt like a piece of tuna in a shark tank. I just didn't feel. I felt like I would be pushing people away the whole time.
Your life is worth $20 there.